Hello, David. Well, I received a question from my friend David on Facebook asking about, well, let's see, let's read the question. Hey, Kurt, how are you and your family? Doing great, thank you very much. Started first day of my holiday, yay, entire month of August off. I'd like a question for you to answer on your new YouTube channel, please. I don't know if you're answering questions, but I have one anyway. Yes, I am answering questions. Please shoot away. Do you find that all Japanese teenagers are friendly to elders and other kids, or are they gangly and up to no good most of the time? This is a tough question to answer and an easy one because, well, let's go in reverse order. It's easy in some ways because kids are the same all around the world. I was just reading a National Geographic article about the teenage brain and how the research was done through the 90s and is being in some ways compiled now and understood now, that leads us to understand how the teenage brain works in terms of developing from the back forward through the lower function areas up to the higher cognitive processing areas later in life, and the ability to begin to make connections between the experience and memories and cognitive thinking, and then the action centers, where younger children tend to have more of a disjointed connection. They're not as concerned about consequences as they will be when they're older. Something we all know instinctively. Well, we all know about kids in general. That's the way they are, especially teens. So we know that I'm reading that basically that's the way kids are wired. Also about the proclivity towards the right word, towards risk. There's a very definite chart that begins about age 11. Children begin to escalate their acceptance of risk, and that peaks at about age 17 and begins to diminish off at about age 20 or 21. They're back to what they were at about 11, and it just goes down from there. Less and less risk tolerant throughout as they continue through life. So that's the way biology works. That's just simple biology. So simple answer is we're all the same in terms of the basic mechanism that's going on in we're one species here. So then the more complex answer is about the cultural elements. Now, Japan is a peculiar place because sometimes you can see things on the surface that more subtle things are going on below the surface. For example, there can be a lot of you can have a businessman who's very frustrated, having a very difficult time. The Japanese people are very good at masking that. For example, my own workplace, I'm very poor at disguising when I'm displeased. My coworkers know when I'm displeased, whereas I know that some of my coworkers are having the same issues that I'm having, because we talk about it in private, but they don't let on at all at work. Yeah, Japanese people are trained to do that from a very young age, and young people are like that, where it's very important to put on the right face in Japan. Use that word face, but it's almost one and the same thing, to give your public face versus your private face. And Japanese young people are very adept at that. What you may not see, though, from a Western eye, is how it's very small, subtle things, like small changes in the way they're wearing their clothes, or their hairstyle, or the way that their mannerisms are, the way that they're talking, that might go completely unnoticed to a Westerner, but are quite visible as maybe indications of rebellion or independence from another Japanese person's perspective. So I think it's basically the same. There's not as much overt crime. I remember or violence. I remember as a kid, bullying was a big problem. I know bullying is a problem here as well, but I remember seeing kids in high school with shotguns, walking down the street, walking through the halls, with a big overcoat, and there's a shotgun, inside. I mean, it's just kind of stuff just doesn't seem to happen here. They're quite the same way. Violence and bullying is very real. The pressures that kids undergo is probably even more so in many ways. They don't have the liberty of freedom. The liberty of freedom. What an interesting play of words there. So it's the same but very different. The culture kind of masks it, but to the Japanese, they see it. From a Westerner's perspective, it seems like paradise. Over and over, I hear that from people who contact me all the time. Isn't Japan just a paradise? And certainly from our Western perspective, it may seem that way in many ways because of the lower incidence of crime, higher incidence of seemingly social harmony, courtesy, goodwill, things like that. But there are another side, and it's the same all around the world. In terms of how they treat older people, well, the culture of Japan is one that respects authority. That comes from the Confucianism that they gained from the continent of Asia. Confucianism is all about showing respect to the aged, those in bosses, those in authority, those in government, anybody that basically is higher up, right or wrong. You show them the proper deference. Japanese children do the same thing for the most part. Lately, in the last 10 years or so, I'm seeing changing, becoming more overt. You sit on the train and you see old people who are clearly just disgusted by what they're seeing the young people doing, laying on their seats, trying to take a nap, their over, loud behavior. It's becoming, it's changing. That's right. Okay. Well, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing necessarily. I mean, there's wonderful things about Japan, but I'm aware of the of the other side, where Japan culture in some ways is like a prison that holds people to a particular course and gives them very little liberty. I've had personal conversations with people adults who later in life had enough and rebelled against that, and they would make the angst of and anger, the frustration, the rebellion of the hippies seem moderate in comparison. I hope that answers your question, David. Thanks for writing to ask. Write me anytime. I'll do my best to answer. Take care. Peace. Well, as Ozzy does. Oh, no, I can't do it right. I just did one finger. Ozzy's great. Ozzy78. JVlogs forum, jvlog.com. No, jvlog.org. jvlog.net. Hold on, let me see. What is it? JVlog. Not jhog. jvlog.org is the place. That's our forum. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.